Hi, Izehi. How are you?
I'm fantastic, Alan.
Good. Thank you very much for joining this Values Jam today. Before we start, would you like to introduce yourself and the great work that you do?
All right, first of all, I have to thank you, Alan, for inviting me to this spectacular Zoom meeting. It's always a pleasure when I have to connect with people that have shared values. So, yes, thank you so very much. My name is IzehiAnuge, and I am a values-based educator. And what we do is that we use a values framework to teach character appropriateness. That's what we try to call it, appropriateness with character and behavior, especially in the 21st century. So basically, that's all we do. I am an author of a children's book series, Captain Excellence and a Great Fall of Knowledge. We have discussion cards, games, as well as many other resources that we use because we believe that action values are in action and not in speech. It's in demonstration. So we do have quite a number of resources that we use to further validate the values that we preach and also help other institutions, ensure that they are aligned and they live consistently in line with those values. So basically, that's what I am all values, values, values.
That's great to hear. And what you've just said resonates with me. It's become a bit of a signature phrase for me, but the way I describe it is that values are for living, not laminating.
Absolutely.
Because so many people think that because they've got the words on the wall, that's the job done, and that's just the beginning, right?
100%, yes.
So let's. So here I've got a deck of Values Jam cards. So what we'll do together is choose one of these cards at random, and then we will see where the conversation takes us. So these are already shuffled. How many times would you like me to cut the deck, Izehi?
Four.
Four. Okay. So I have four piles in front of me. So would you
Okay.
like pile one, two, three, or four?
Three.
Three. So in pile three, I have seven cards. So would you like numbers one to seven? Which one?
Four.
Four.
Creativity. Yay. Fantastic.
So I'm glad you're pleased with this one. And the way that we play, on the back of the card, there are a series of questions. You can see probably that the top one is in bold and the bottom one is in bold. And
Mhm.
that's because those are the only two questions we should use. The rest are kind of, if we need them, we will. But the first question is this. So, Izehi, what does creativity mean? What does it look, feel, and sound like?
Okay, for me, creativity means an expression of your imaginations. That's what I see creativity as. It's your ability to communicate that which you see within yourself, your inside, communicate it in a way that it gives life to it, and other people start to experience that which you see on your inside as real life. So it's bringing to life the things that you only imagine and visualize. What does it look like? It could look like, and I hope I get this, I hope I'm answering correctly when I say it looks like colors to me. It feels like a movie. It looks like it appears like an unfolding, like the blossoming, a revelation, like the peeling of an onion, right? To get to the core center of something that you don't know. Why I say an onion is because you can peel an onion or a banana. But what's interesting about peeling now is that when you bite into it, or the more you peel, the more layers you peel, the more excited you are because you do not know what you're going to get within, the layers inside of it. So it's a whole spectrum of colors to me. That's just how I see creativity. A whole spectrum of creativity possibilities and imaginations, which can be communicated into real life so that other people who can't see or don't have that same vision are able to see it and actually feel it the way you feel it, touch it. It's bringing something that is not to being in a way that we all experience that great thing that you see in your head. Yes, so that's what I see it as.
Okay, and what about what does it feel like and what does it sound like to you, creativity?
It sounds like music.
Yeah.
It sounds like music, a very fast, upbeat music. And I hope I'm getting understanding the question and answering them the right way because as you're saying it, I'm saying it in my head. It's like music. It's like Okay, so all I can see are colors, and I see that you're dancing to different beats. So when you see the orange, you're dancing to the orange in this way. In the yellow, you're excited. In the red, you're a bit, yeah. The black, you go down a bit. So it's how do I put it? It's the heartbeaty thing from the hospital, the beep 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 beep.
Yeah, and it's a little
Oh,
bit like so that.
absolutely. Oh, yes, that is exactly what it is. That's what it is. Yes, it's a rhythm of colors. That's what I call it. So it sounds like a rhythm of colors. That's what it sounds like to me. That's what creativity sounds like.
Yeah, and
Rhythm.
I love the way that you described how creativity is an expression of your imagination.
Yeah,
Because in order to be creative, you have to have something there in your imagination to begin with,
absolutely.
and then a
Absolutely.
process to
Yes,
turn the imagination into something real.
absolutely.
The other thing that comes to mind when I was listening to you is I think creativity is the ability to think differently to
Mm-hmm.
other people. So when I think of something that is creative, I think of people saying, "How did you think of that?" It's that kind of
Absolutely.
capability to do something that is different than other people would have been able to consider
Absolutely.
themselves.
Absolutely.
And then I agree with you that um, the color thing definitely, although I would add um, shapes to that as well. So I'm thinking of colors, but on different shapes. So three-dimensional rather than necessarily two-dimensional. And, if you think about sculpting, for instance, or sculpture, then I think that is an amazing art form. And I don't quite know how these people are able to think of a three-dimensional end result
Mm-hmm.
that they then create from a block of stone, for instance. I think that is just amazing.
Absolutely.
And music too, yeah, I love listening to music, and I don't have a musical bone in my body.
We
But
should be friends then so that I can teach you because I'm all music. I listen to music at least an hour a day, every day, deliberately.
yeah, and it's mute. There's something about the emotion that music carries with it somehow. So I don't know if there's programs on the television here like Britain's Got Talent and
Oh
stuff
yeah,
like that, right?
yes, yes.
And when I hear a fantastic voice, I cry. I don't know why it affects me like that, but it's not because I'm sad. It's
Yeah,
just that it just gets you really in
yeah,
your heart.
yeah.
Um,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
okay, so that's been a really energetic start to what is creativity. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. I think that, yeah, the other bit of it is, for me, it's about the view of not of other people rather than the person that has been creative. Because sometimes I've heard people say, "Oh, I'm not very creative. Here's my poem." And you read it and you think, "Wow, I could never have done something like that." And so I think the true measure of creativity is not in the eyes, or is not from the person who made the creation. It's in other people who are able to enjoy the
Creative.
creation.
Absolutely. I do agree with you. However, I sometimes have to ask myself really if everybody is creative. Um, and I ask this question because, creativity comes from the ability to think. And sometimes I feel that it's critical for us to start putting thinking as a course in schools for children from a very young age because thinking is a gift. I know people who tell me that they don't think. And I wonder, so when you're quiet and you're looking, what are you looking at? They said nothing. And they say they are blank in their minds. And I think it's an offense for anyone to go through life without having the ability to think, to create, to imagine. And so I think that would be for me the biggest question. Are there people who are naturally creative? Are there people who are born creative? Are there people that learn creativity? Or are people just not meant to think because they're designed for a whole different career or something? So yes, between those lines, but I always like to let everybody know, once you think, you'll come up with something good. And when you're thinking about the right thing and asking the right questions when you're thinking, you'll always come up with something good. But you have to be asking, you have to want to do it. And so that's why I ask, are we all meant to be creative? And when I mean creative, that's to do something really amazing and not, something really amazing that the whole world will benefit from, or something that a few people will benefit from, or something that even three people will benefit from. And I think it all starts with, like you mentioned, the ability to think. And everybody should spend at least 30 minutes thinking, not just about what to create, but thinking about their lives, their behavior, their outcome, cause, effect. All of those things, I think it would make a dramatic difference in the world if more people thought about cause and effects and the possibilities within them. Yeah, so that's what
I agree with you 100%. And I think that I've been thinking about this quite a lot recently, not specifically, a bit more generally than this, but it's about what seems to be the need of so many people to have to be in control rather than allow the freedom to see what might come. And I think that because of that attitude in so many places, in schools, for instance, for me, and I think I'm agreeing with the point that you're making, there is not enough focus on expression and creative expression. And I think the reason for that is that when you're working in an area that is more known and more predictable, then you are able to say this is going to happen and you feel comfortable because of that situation.
Yeah.
If you're operating in the creative space, then you've no idea what's going to come. And too many people feel insecure with that situation, and therefore they resist it. And therefore people don't get given the freedom and the encouragement to express themselves enough.
Sorry about the noise. You hear it from time to time. I
No,
apologize.
that's okay. And linked to this is a more general thought. So, when you're asleep and you're just waking up, that kind of time when you're not awake, but you're not asleep. And I found myself just thinking about goals and targets and measurement and all of this sort of thing. And it's really the same sort of point that I was making just now, that I think that the reason so many people use these tools is not actually to perform any better. It's just to feel more in control.
Yeah.
Because even if you're 10% short of the target, I'm 10% short, and this is what I'm going to do to make it up. Whereas if you didn't have a target in the first place, if you just did your best, who knows what might have been possible, which have been far greater than what you achieved in the first place.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So on the topic of creativity, then let's explore one of these questions, and this is the opposite of creativity. So where have you noticed a lack of creativity?
And when we ask that question, is that in my personal life, in my space, or in any capacity?
The beauty of ValuesJam is that anything goes, so you choose.
Well, in truth, I have observed a lot of non-creativity in for me. I would say I'll speak for myself because I don't want to talk about anything more general than myself for now. And I will say that up till about 6 years ago, when I got into values education, I realized that I lacked creativity. Whilst I had so many things that I wanted to do with my life, like you said, how we think about how we want to control our lives, it really affected me up until 6 years ago. And I held myself back from going into becoming a values-based educator One of the reasons was that um, everybody believes that they live a life based on clear values. And now trying to pitch that to individuals, organizations, they clearly understand the role of values within as a culture, you know, within organizations, but individuals, families, education sector. I will speak about my own country. The impact of values on the overall well-being of both the individual communities and the whole and the nation is totally lost. So I became trapped in that structure. And so for a long time, I felt like it was just safer to do what I was doing. I was in the restaurant and hotel catering business. I had a restaurant and I really enjoyed cooking. And it was fine for me. And I found that I was just doing the mundane things, you know, wake up, cook for people. You know, my life was just ordinary. It was nothing to write home about. And I think, and that's why I asked earlier, if people are naturally meant to be creative, or some people are just, you know, just learn it. For me, there was an itch, there was a desire. And more importantly, the more I worked with my team members, I had a staff strength, a very small organization. We were just 21. And within that small space, the lack of motivation on the part of my team members, the lack of inspiration, creativity, do one thing, they wouldn't even do it well. And I'm like, my goodness, are we all half asleep? This is a half asleep situation, and I was even asleep. So this is a quarter asleep person or a three-quarter asleep person working with people that were totally asleep. And so I think that was what started out my quest to find out why you would come to work and just be average or mediocre, just indifferent, you know, just calm. You know, it's about earning money, and life is more, there's more. If you do right, you will make more money. If you give your best, you'll make more money. So money is always the last thing on my mind. The first thing is your life is signature, whatever you do, imprint your footstep on it. You have to leave your signature on it, you know. And I think that was what started my quest. I started to find out. I interviewed my team of 21, asked them, why do you come to work? Why do you get up? If you want to leave your house and be told what to do, then why come? And that was what got me thinking. I now decided to train them based on what I found out. And my findings were unbelievable. And shortly after that, I had to be out of the country for a little while. And while I was out of the country and returning back, I decided that I was going to try to intervene based on my findings with just my 21 team members. But for me to do that, I had to interview another 1,000. So I randomly interviewed another 1,000 Nigerians from various socio-economic backgrounds, you know, age groups, you know, demographics. You know, I just interviewed them randomly. And I found the same common thread running, which was that our education system did not furnish or prepare us to do more than we were able to do, which is just to do as you're told, just go half days, work, you know. Besides, life beats you down so much, you now stop asking, you stop thinking, and you just want to get out as fast as possible, do the easiest thing. And so I was also in that trap. But having that restaurant, I think, jolted me into reality. And I realized that my lack of creativity had put me in a state where I was just existing and not really living. And thank God I was bold enough to do something about it. It's been 6 years now. I'm the author of a children's book series, Captain Excellence, and Captain Excellence series is a book focused on teaching children values in a very specific and clear way. And I just received today my first cartoon feature because we are having a cartoon series. Thank you. We've been working on it for 2 months. So I just received the first pilot, and I'm looking at it yesterday evening because I got here yesterday, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh my God, a tiny seed. Just because I dare to believe, I dare to dream, and I said, no, I'm not going to live the life of what any other person's expectation is. I'm going to teach values. That's what I want to do. And I'm going to teach it. I don't care how many people listen. I don't care who hears. It doesn't bother me. I'm going to do what I want to do. I don't know where the road is going to take me, but I just hope that it takes me to a good destination. And that was how I embarked on that journey. I'm not an author. I've never designed a character. I have 5 main characters. I've designed a bookshelf that is focused on values. I have some merchandise. I have discussion cards. We are developing a game with the discussion card. I sit down. The cartoon series for me is the biggest thing because it's quite pricey to do a cartoon series. So I have my pilot now. And I'm looking at my characters. I'm looking at them move. They're actually talking. They now have a name. They now have a feel, a taste, a look, and I was like, oh my goodness. So yes, I have seen where operating within a space where you're not creative has the capacity to just destroy your life. Most people will walk around life not even knowing the effects or non-effects. And that's why I believe some people are just not meant to know. So it's neither here nor there. As long as we're all fulfilled, because the aim of values again is to first of all understand consequences, make right choices, live a fulfilled life, contribute to the whole the ecosystem of the world. And hey, it doesn't really matter either or neither nor. What's important is that we avail ourselves the opportunity to learn everything we can learn so that we can make better choices. So yes, that's where I've observed it in my own personal life. So I've operated without creativity and I've operated with creativity.
It's a fantastic example because, and what's coming through here for me is that, you described yourself in a situation where there was no encouragement to be creative. And imagine if you had stayed there. Now, imagine if you'd stayed there.
Go home. My apologies. I think we froze for a bit.
Yeah,
network was affected. Yeah,
that's okay. I was just thinking about, imagine if you had stayed in that situation of 6 years ago, and if you now compare what has happened versus what would have happened if you stayed as you were before, the difference is enormous.
It is.
And just think if everybody has that potential to be so much different.
So much. It's a scary road to take. Should I say to you that, oh, it's just like that, jump into it? It's a lie. And I think something always propels us to jump into that creative space once you have that nudging. It's not the easiest. It hasn't, I mean, what I'm saying now sounds all fancy and all nice, but in truth, it's been it's been difficult, it's been trying, lots and lots of tears, lots and lots of disappointment. And I think another thing is that's the fear that most people run from. It's safer not to try than to try and to fail, because some people don't recover well from failure. So yeah, I don't know what my life would have been like today if I had not taken that plunge. Yeah. I mean, I have freedom. I've finished a 1 month long tour and I can just be for the next 6 days. Why? Because we are actually at a trade fair, an exhibition on Thursday and Friday, but my staff will be there. I've created the products. I don't have to be there. So ultimately, creativity gives you the freedom to truly be who you need to be and to live the life that you want to live. And I really think schools should support children learning how to think. I really think it's a critical skill for the 21st century. Thinking. Yeah. It's a critical skill.
There's two other points that you mentioned that I just want to comment on. The first one was about when you were saying that, when you wanted to do this, you didn't care about how many people were going to like it or whatever it is. And I really admire that in creative people. So if I think about the world of music, I much prefer a band or an artist that is true to themselves and maybe sells less records, rather than the band that manufactures something just to be popular.
Yeah.
It's not really them and their essence. It's just them creating something that is Absolutely. Popular to make them money. So that was the first thing. And then the second thing is going to sound maybe a little bit weird. Just to give you some context, when we play ValuesJam, very frequently, what happens is that a memory, sometimes from a long time before, is sparked. And a psychologist in New Zealand explained to me that because values is such a deep topic,
Yeah.
it might be that a values-led conversation is actually reconnecting lapsed neural pathways. And that's what brings a memory that hasn't been in your mind for a long time. And what you were saying there is just made it happen to me. I also enjoyed a career in catering and hotels.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Similar
So
background.
yeah, so it's a wonderful industry full of lots of brilliant people. But the memory that you actually brought to me was when I was, I don't know, probably 8 or 9 years old.
Yeah.
I remember the first time my father cooked a curry, and what he did was put the rice on the plate and then put a spoon in the middle of the rice and made a circle. So the rice went in a circle around the edge of the plate, then spooned the curry and sauce and meat into the middle. And then, this sounds so weird. So he put like quarters of tomato at like 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and 9 o'clock on the rice. And then he sprinkled raisins and currants
Oh, wow.
in between the two parts of the tomato on the rice.
Wow.
And at 8, I remember thinking, oh my God, my father is a genius. Making this dish look so good. And then I don't know whether there's any connection, but in my career, I've helped restaurants gain Michelin star awards.
Wow.
And I enjoy cooking, but that's not the route that I went up. It was more event management. And then I became a managing director of 5-star hotels and that sort of thing. But thank you for giving me that long lost memory of my father's curry.
You're welcome.
Now, Izehi, I'd like to give you a chance to have a play with another one of these questions. So what it says here is, ask your own question about creativity, starting with who, what, where, when, why, or how. So would you like to ask a question?
Let's ask a question to you.
Yeah, and then we'll both play with it.
Okay, so who, was, where, when, how? Do I have to ask all five?
No, just choose one and find a question that you're
Okay,
curious.
so where do you find your creativity playing up the most and adding value the most?
Okay. So I think the short answer to this is when I follow my intuition. And I'll give you an example. So like I say, we launched this last year, and somebody I know runs a values-based fashion website. And in a conversation with her, I don't know where it came from, but I just said, do you think that ValuesJam branded merchandise would be interesting for people? And we talked about it a bit. And as a result of that, we've now produced a range of hoodies, t-shirts, baseball cap.
Wow.
And what you can do is you can choose the value word that you want on the back of your hoodie. So, you know, for this, we could have creativity, or somebody else could have curiosity. And it's got because lots of people really love this graphic. So it's got that across the back of the garments as well. And then on the front, it's just got a small discrete logo. We produce them in white and in black.
Wow.
We launched that last month. So it's a bit like you were saying about your cartoon book, that I have no idea whether this is going to take off or not. But I think it's really exciting and cool that we're doing it, and it's going to be a journey, which we'll learn things. We'll probably have some troubles, but who cares?
Wow.
So when I follow my intuition, what about you?
It's funny. This is going to be the funniest answer I imagine, but it's my truth. I find that when I'm in distress.
Okay.
When I've been backed into a corner.
Okay.
When I'm trying to push through a door and I can't break through it.
Yeah.
Or my whole everything alert, red alert, my head.
Yeah.
You know, I imagine my head and plenty alert, creative zone, create. So when I'm told no, I get creative.
Well, this is interesting actually, because I enjoy photography,
Yeah.
and I have mostly three lenses that I use. One which is very wide angle, and then at the other end, you can get really close up, and then one in between. But sometimes I find that rather than taking all three lenses, I am more creative when I just take one, because it forces you to think a bit more. And
Yes.
it's what you described about being backed into a corner. It just struck me that this sometimes restriction actually encourages creativity, even though you think it should be the opposite.
Once I'm backed into a corner, everything I've done today is because I was backed into a corner. Somebody said no. Somebody said I couldn't do this here. You said, why? This earth, I can't. Who are you to tell me no? How dare you say I can't? And I just go into.
Can you get, Izehi, what's the best example of that?
The best example I would say was, so I have been training on values, for a while. However, you find institutions that will tell you we are values based. That's schools will tell you we are values based. We know what we are doing. And I'm like, okay, so you don't want my training, and it's not like now they need it, but they don't even know how badly they need it, especially now. Well, it's coming, it's catching on, and then so this is about 320. I wrote my book in 2018. If I couldn't take the training to the decision makers, I can take the book to the children through their parents. So I'm going to write what I want to say in a book. It's simple. I didn't hear the no. The no was like, okay, thanks. But so I always believe we never change the goal, change the strategy. So I find myself operating when I'm told no, I'm forced because I can't imagine the word. I ask myself consistently. So when you now ask yourself why you didn't do that, what reason is strong enough? If no reason is strong enough, then that means we have to find another way. Then every creative juice in my body starts to operate. The machinery just starts to go boom, 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 and it just pumps and it pumps until something. So every time I've been told, I can give you a trail of no's. I've had more no's than yeses. I've had, I guess, for every 200 no's, I've probably for every 200 for every 1 year, I've gotten 200 no's.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. So it pushes me to pressure. Not pressure, rejection.
Yeah. Do you know the software called Canva?
Yes.
Okay. So I heard a podcast about this just a couple of weeks ago. And I don't know if you know this, but it was created by an Australian couple. Okay. So a guy and a girl who were together. And I think Canva is now worth about $6 billion, something like that.
I use them every day.
Okay. So the story is that, just to your point, investors turned these people down more than 100 times for various reasons. So one of the reasons given was, we don't want to invest in a couple of people that are romantically involved. Another reason was, we don't want to invest in people that don't have a really strong technology background.
Fair enough.
and 100 before somebody said, The clarity of your vision is really impressive, and so we're going to go with you. And then look what's happened to them. That's just an amazing story.
Yeah, yeah. That's all that does it for me. Pressure. So if you tell me no, and think that you're going to look back and meet me there, the thought of it's very annoying. You're just a mere mortal like me. How dare you? I have a right to be here, and I'm going to create my space. So I create my space. Whatever it looks like, I create it. I'm not looking for an audience of 1 billion. I'm just looking for my own space. So for me, it's easy, it's light, and because of that understanding, the pressure is not heavy on me. Just create. Just be clear. Who are you creating for? Why? And what would they be doing? So everything I have created, I have these shelves. They are Captain Excellence branded shelves. Now, I noticed that in the bookstores in my country, they don't pay too much attention to our local content, our books. So they don't pride them, not so much confidence in them. I was going to put my books there. And they're giving this attitude like, well, and my book, it has all our local names, it has Tamiwa, Ahmed, Izehi, which are things that I really take pride in. I really take pride. It's funny that my skin tone is a bit, it appears like I have a different shade. And so most people think and imagine that I am not really indigenous, right? I am. I am so Nigerian, it's unbelievable. I love this country. I can't live anywhere else. I can't be anywhere. I can't imagine myself anywhere. Once I go abroad, 3 weeks is too much. I'm tired and I need to come back home. So I love my home. So, all of those things, there's this resistance. And of course, I understand that we are a developing nation. And so there's this lack of faith and confidence in the things that we are doing. However, it's a growth process and we will get there. And because of this resistance, I had two choices: give up trying to put them in the stores, or just give up completely. I created a specialized shelf that added value to the store, so that anywhere you see the shelf, it's about 4 feet high, so we can stack our books. Then you can write a message. I did that, and once they saw there's a tabletop of it, and there's a standing shelf, and once they saw that, and they were like, "Oh, okay, no problem. It's your shelf." So I put it there, and guess what? My books are selling because they're on a specialized shelf. Because when you go to a few of the stores, or most of the stores, you don't really see our books. Authors, you don't really see them. But hey, you will see me. You see me. You see me here, see me, you see me. And then it's not a decision of whether you purchase a copy or you will not. So it was that resistance. Today we're in 42 locations nationwide, and I achieved that in 6-7 months, because I was like, yeah, so pressure, put the once I'm at ease, I'm uncomfortable. I'm like, no. Somebody has to tell me no right now. Something else has to happen. So
and what I like about that example is you were trying to find a way to sell your books, but you didn't restrict yourself to just that, and you were able to change the rules in order to accommodate the sale of your books. That's the key thing. And the other thing that you said that struck me actually is that I think sometimes when we think and talk about creativity, we kind of make out that it's easy and it kind of happens instantly. But actually, the truth is a lot more difficult than that, right?
Yeah, it took me a year. Okay, after COVID hit, I realized I needed to go into retailing my books, because I wasn't retailing my books. I was wholesaling and giving it to selling it to organizations and individuals and other institutions who believed in values education and believed that there was an urgency for values education in a structured way. And those that believed in it, they would purchase the books and we would distribute them in the underprivileged communities. And so we have actually reached about 15,000 in one community. That was in the whole of 2019, because I wrote the book in 2018. So 2019, that's what we were able to achieve. When COVID struck, nobody was focused on education again. We're all focused on hand sanitizers, health, that was the biggest conversation. And I found that I didn't have a market again, because even the people that had agreed that they were partnering with me in 2020, they were no longer, that wasn't their priority. They were cutting down their staff strength, they were refocusing, you know, a lot of things happened. And I found I needed to go into the retail market. And going into the retail market was new. I'm not a retail, I was scared, I was confused. And then trying to venture in, I found this resistance of, you know, almost like my books were not good enough, or, you know, I don't know if we can move the market, because again, for the bookstores, understandably so, it's about profits, it's about their bottom line. So you can understand that they wouldn't want to risk their shelf space with a product that they don't know would move.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did understand that. And in trying to do that, it took me a while, the whole of COVID period. So by September of 2020, that was when I decided that, you know what, I'm going to create a shelf and add value to the stores while the house my book, just puts me in a little corner. And if nothing happens, it's all well and good, but make me be visible, first of all. You don't know that I will succeed until if people don't see me, then you don't know that I'll succeed. If you're already taking the book with bias, you can't even push it on my behalf. So let me position myself. And so I was able to
very smart.
Yeah.
Very smart. All right. So what we're doing now is coming towards the end of the Values Jam, and the final question that I've got for you is this. So what are you encouraged to do differently about creativity as a result of our conversation?
As a result of our conversation. Okay. Why I'm struggling with that question is because the second book I wrote was on creativity and resourcefulness. The cartoon series that we just released, the pilot, is on creativity and resourcefulness. But I think now, in saying that, I think what I'll do more is ensure that between now and December, I get about 10,000 children to view our cartoon series. Just that particular pilot episode on creativity and resourcefulness, because I think the world will be much better. One of the reasons we all fight is because there are limited resources, and everybody's struggling for the resources. So it's one of the major reasons why people, go into confrontations. And I think with more children watching the movie about creativity and resourcefulness, it could trigger something in their minds that will carry for life. So I think I will commit today. Like I said, the pilot was just yesterday. I wish I could show it to you. The pilot was released yesterday, just privately viewed by myself and my partner, and we saw it. So we just need to make a few corrections, and by December 1, we plan to take it out. But now, I think speaking today, I will put a target to that each month. Maybe 10,000 is a bit unrealistic. Who knows? I will put a target to how many children should actually have visited our website, and we deliberate about marketing and ensuring that more children come in contact with the gifts of creativity and resourcefulness. So yes, that's what.
Brilliant. What a great answer. And mine is quite short, but so every year I produce a wall calendar for people that I've worked with during the year. And I choose my favorite 12 photographs from the year, and I make the calendar. So as a result of this conversation, I am going to choose the 12 photographs this week to get the production process up and running. So Izehi, thank you very much for joining this Values Jam today. I've really enjoyed your creative responses about the value of creativity.
I hope you don't mind. I'd like to take us a photo, an online photo. I hope you don't mind. No, it's going online. Going on my Instagram page.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Okay, and I'll try and see if we can get one
together.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate. I am glad we did this, because when I saw your message, I was like, when I saw your call,